What is going on, everybody? This is Maximilian, and it's 2012. I know, right? Where the heck did that come from? Like, seriously, every time a new year comes by, it just seems like the old one just kind of flew. Like, it didn't even happen almost. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of getting to that point in my life where I'm just getting old. Well, I don't want to say I'm getting old. I'm turning 21 this year, and it's not exactly what most people would call old. But it's slowly creeping up on me, and ever so slowly, my childhood is disappearing completely. So, I don't know, you kind of look back on things and you learn to cherish those moments that you had, or rather, you reflect on them and wish you had learned to cherish them earlier. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in life right now. It's a little weird. I'm getting used to it, but I mean, don't get me wrong, like, being old, like this old anyway, is really awesome because you get to do a lot of cool things in 21, right? But, I mean, at the same time, you've kind of now come to grasp the concept that, your life is essentially a quarter of the way over. Like, that's 25% of your life is gone right there. That's a lot. You might not really think about it because at this point in your life, if you're at my age, you're in the invincible phase, so to speak. Because if you're around 20 years old, or maybe you're a late year teenager, you kind of you know that feeling I'm talking about. You feel like you are on top of the world, like nothing can stop you. You are just banging on all cylinders, and you are at the peak of your youth. And I'm kind of at that point right now, so maybe I'm not as aware of my age as I should be. But at the same time, I'm starting to realize that, hey, like, in 10 years, I'm officially going to be old. Like, I will have gone over the hump, and then from there on out, it's just a downward spiral into old age and dementia and all kinds of crazy old person stuff. I'm going to be that guy with a shotgun on his porch yelling at the young whippersnappers to get off my lawn, that kind of thing. Yeah, I'm going to turn into what is that? Gosh, can't remember his name right now. Totally drawing a blank. But Gran Torino, that guy? Yeah, can't remember his name right now. But yeah, shotgun, get off my lawn, that kind of thing. That's only like, 50 years away now. No big deal. But still, like 10 years ago, that was 60 years away, and that's a lot of time, considering that was half of my life. Man, okay, we're reflecting on old age too much. Anywho, let's get to Pokemon. So, haven't put up a video in a while, and that's also because I'm busy, but it's also because there's not a whole lot going on. No worries, though. I found something productive to do this time. So, one thing we have not done is gotten the pass for the bullet train yet. Sorry, the magnet train. That's what it's called in this game. Like, there's really not much of a difference because they both work the same way. But in order to get the pass for the magnet train, which runs between Goldenrod and Saffron City, you need to go talk to this person up here who, if you remember from old Red and Blue days, would give you the TM for Mimic. Her name is still Copycat, but they've moved down one block south, if that is the cardinal directions are still intact in the game. So you need to go talk to her in that house, and she'll say, well, if you go get my Pokédoll for me, I'll give you the pass to the bullet train. Sorry, magnet train. Gosh dang it, keeps slipping. Anywho, once you get that pass to the magnet train, you can go seamlessly between Kanto and Johto, and you won't have to worry about trying to do complicated flying going on routes anymore, because it just gets annoying. So, what you need to do is go talk to her, and after you do that, work your way down to Vermilion City. Now, before I go there, I'm also going to go get the Super Rod, and there's a reason for that. I am trying to build up the Elite Four team right now, because it has effectively been decided. Like, I definitely know what I'm going to do for the Elite Four team. I will announce it at some point later in the future. Don't want to do it quite yet, but, I mean, you should probably be able to tell by now at least most of what's going to be in the team. Because, I mean, I've only got more than half of them sitting in the party right now. It shouldn't be that difficult. Now, obviously, Meganium's not going to be in there because he was in the previous Elite Four team, but Lugia will be in there because, he's Lugia. There's not really a whole lot I can say about that. I mean, if you ever try and cross Lugia and tell him he's not going to be on the team, man, he will screw you up. So, yeah, don't ever say no to Lugia. I learned that the hard way, guys. So, yeah. We are keeping Lugia on the team, but everyone else is going to be brand spanking new. So, I am rounding up the companions for the Fellowship of the Red. Oh my god. I've been reading The Lord of the Rings too much over the past few days, in case you couldn't tell. I'm trying to plow myself through it so that way I can start reading these other books that I got for Christmas. Because it's kind of weird. I've been engrossed in The Lord of the Rings ever since, I want to say, 8th grade or so. So probably around 2002, which would be just after The Two Towers came out. I loved the movies. All my friends loved them. We played the card game together. Yeah, I know, right? We played the freaking card game. So, I've loved The Lord of the Rings, and I know a ton about it, but I just don't feel right knowing that I haven't read the books yet. So right now, I am almost done with the Two Towers. I've got about 100 pages left or so, and then once I'm done with the Two Towers, got Return of the King, and then we're in the clear. But I've been really wanting to start another series called not Game of Thrones, sorry, that's the first book in the series. The series is called Song of Ice and Fire by George Martin. So that's what I'm kind of working my way to right now. And as a result, I've been doing marathon reading sessions with Lord of the Rings, and it's starting to get to my head, in case you couldn't tell. So yeah, if I have any kind of Middle-earth Freudian slips, you know exactly where that's going. So yeah, I blame that on my insatiable desire to read Lord of the Rings right now. Or I shouldn't say insatiable desire to read it, I should say insatiable desire to finish it. Because I do find myself kind of plowing through it more than I should. Like, I'm trying to take it easy and enjoy it, but at the same time, I'm just like, come on, let's finish this so I can get on to the other things I want to read. You really shouldn't treat the book like that, though. So I wouldn't recommend speed reading for the sake of completion, because really, you're going to miss out so much on the book if you do that. So I would refrain from doing that. Exercise some self-control and read slowly, because it does help to comprehend the story a lot more. In addition to that, you also find that you enjoy the books a lot more if you do that. That's why I always really hated reading books for like required assignments in high school. I would assume that most of you guys are in high school, or at least have gone through high school at some point, so you probably know what I'm talking about. You've got that English class, and like at the beginning of the semester or whatever, your teacher's like, okay, we are going to read War and Peace. And you're probably not going to read War and Peace, but some book like that. Some really boring book written from the 18th or 19th century that is considered quote-unquote classic literature. And anytime you see someone append the word classic in the phrase literature, you know it's going to be a horrible book. It just always is. I don't know why, but I'm not really one for the classics. Some people are. It's just not my bag. And I've kind of found that it generally isn't most people's thing either. So they're like, okay, well, here's some random classic English literature book that we're going to read by the semester, and your first reading assignment is due in 2 weeks. You have to read 150 pages. So instantly, you got two things going on here that turn you off. First off, it's classic English literature. Blah, don't know what happened there. Classic English literature, generally a bad thing. Second, they give you a due date. Anytime someone puts a due date on me to read something, like, you have to read X amount of pages by this amount of date, I will usually wait until the day before the date, and then try and read it all in one sitting. Because, number one, I'm horrible at procrastination, and secondly, if it's a bad book, or at least in my opinion, if it's going to be a bad book, because they've already dubbed it as classic literature, I'm not going to want to start it. I mean, really, who is? The only thing that's going to motivate you to actually finish that is the fact that it's a required assignment that's due on this date. So inevitably, you will be stuck with a marathon reading session, and then you will be forced to read the book for like 150 pages in the matter of a day, which is never, ever a fun thing. And then when you try to blaze through the book, because the only thing on your mind is completing that section of the book you were supposed to read, you miss everything in the book, and then you end up hating it. So even if some of these classic literature assignment books are fairly good reads, you would never know, because of the way that high school teachers assign them. And it's very unfortunate, because I'm pretty sure that I would have enjoyed most of the literature I read in high school, except for the fact that it was a required assignment. Required assignments always suck. Like, they really should just say, okay, read this book, and then at the end I'll give you an exam on it. At least that way, you can take the time to read the book. If not, you can Spark Note it, but seriously, any teacher worth their salt is going to include stuff that's not in the Spark Notes. Although, occasionally it does happen that they decide to take information that's only relevant to the bare bones of the plot, and so Spark Notes covers everything. Very weird example, because I was reading a book in my junior year of high school called The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. Now, if you have never read it before, keep it that way. Don't ever read that book. Faulkner is famous for stream of consciousness novels, and if you've never read a stream of consciousness novel before, essentially it's like handing a piece of paper and a pencil to someone with paranoid schizophrenia and telling them, here, write me everything that you're thinking about right now. Because it's essentially what it is. It's just nothing but the thought processes of the characters in the book. And when you're doing a chapter from the perspective of someone who's mentally disabled, like, can you imagine how hard that would be to follow? Like, it was so hard to follow, the teachers had to give us a guide to walk us through it, because otherwise we'd have no clue where we were. Apparently some literary expert critic people, whatevers, have figured out or deduced what if exactly Faulkner was trying to get across here and what was going on, but we just had no clue. So, of course, when the test came around for that first section from the perspective of the mentally retarded person, everybody failed it. No surprise. But for the second one, it was from the perspective of someone who was not mentally disabled, but sort of insane. Yeah, he was off his rocker. We'll put it that way. The chapter was just really weird because half the time his grammar just got terrible. He never used periods or capitalization, so you could never tell where his sentences were going. I'm guessing this is some kind of symbolism that has to do with his mental problems, but whatever. So, after about 30 pages of it, which is about halfway through the section, I'm just like, screw this. I cannot read this anymore. There's no way in heck I understand this. So, I'm just going to go read the Spark Notes. And ironically, those Spark Notes were able to get me to pass the quiz. And which is really weird because there's 4 sections in that book, and that was the only quiz section in that entire book that I passed for the class. That was the only one I read Spark Notes for. The rest of them, I diligently took my time, I read through them, I studied my notes, I made sure I got everything done, and I failed them because the book is so bad and so confusing. You just have no clue what's going on. So that's the kind of stuff that I also hate about reading. It's something that's really unfortunate, too, because it sets a lot of people off. So yeah, another one of my pet peeves with stupid high school English curriculums. You get used to it after a while. But yeah, word of advice for the day from Dr. Maximilian. Never ever read Sound and the Fury, or for that matter, anything else by William Faulkner. You will save yourselves a lot of grief and trouble, and you will thank me for it later. And for those of you who are daring enough to do it, then, well, it's your funeral. Go for it. I don't really care. Alright, so enough of that spiel about high school English literature. I'm pretty sure all of you who are even in high school right now are sick of hearing me talk about it, because now you just had to start going back to school, didn't you? Didn't you? Yeah. It's one of the best parts about being in college. Your winter breaks are actually a break, not like 3 days of respite during Christmas and then like the day after New Year's. Alright, back to school, you slaves. But yeah, I was sick of that in high school. So yes, now that we have gotten ourselves a super rod and a magnet train pass, I've also been able to catch a Dragonair. Spoiler alert. Probably going to be in the Elite Four party. Not as a Dragonair, though. You know what's coming from that, because, I mean, come on, who doesn't love a dragon Pokemon? So, that's where we're going with that, and that's essentially what I accomplished in this episode. I'm probably going to level grind a little bit with that Dragonair. Considering it's only level 10, it's nowhere near ready enough right now. Will I be posting any of those videos? Probably not, because honestly, you're probably not going to want to see a whole lot of level grinding. It's just going to be random trainers in the Kanto region, and that doesn't really make for a great video, so I'm going to upload some Duels of the Planeswalkers and some Call of Duty in the meantime. So anyway, thanks for watching and tuning in, guys. Thanks for your patience. Have fun at school, children! See you later.